Welcome to the Academy of the Performing Arts. My name is John Hanwright, as many of you know, but if you don't, that's who I am. I am the playwright of The Finishing Touch. I hope you all are here to see The Finishing Touch. Oh, good. Because that would be terribly awkward if you were all here to see something entirely different. Well, we have a great lineup of shows for you this fall and winter. First up, we have Stage Kiss by Sarah Rule. That's a staged reading. Then we have A Little Red Riding Hood, an old chestnut. Then we have the Academy's own Haunted House.
Ooh.
Then we have Let's Duet, a musical review. And to round out the season, we have Cinderella. Woo. So, a note on fire emergency exits. To my left, there is one, and then straight ahead, not immediately straight ahead, that will send you careening out the window, but straight ahead and down the staircase from which you came is the other one. Please, please, please silence your cell phones, your Blackberries, your pagers, your rotary dials, your telegraphs, etc. They're very distracting to the actors. To that end, we have an actor's box right ahead, right in front of me. If you're so inclined, please tip these performers well. They're among the best on Cape Cod. We are very fortunate to have Karen McPherson, Sallie Tighe, and Missy Potash in this production. So, you might be wondering what inspired me to write this play in the first place. And even if you aren't wondering that, I'm going to tell you anyway. It all started about 7 years ago in a creative writing class at 4Cs. I am going to try to keep it together here, but I just lost my grandmother, my beloved grandmother, and I needed an outlet for that grief. But since then, it's taken on a life of its own, really. I also wanted to address the major problem of addiction on Cape Cod, particularly alcoholism. So that's another theme in the play. Another of the play's theme is the persistence of hope through healing, and the question of what exactly makes a family. So, with those thoughts in mind, and without, before they play the Oscars wrap-up music for me, I would like to thank you again for coming to support new live theater, and in particular this new production that I've worked so hard on, and that the cast you're about to see has also worked so hard on. So without further ado, please enjoy The Finishing Touch.
told you, Mom, about hiding it from me.
Hiding it? Hide what?
When the inflammation is hurting you, I mean, it's written all over your face.
Oh, I know, dear. I just don't like unsettling you. Oh, come on. I know how it upsets you.
Yeah, well, what unsettles me more is when you try to conceal it from me. How I see you made a mess trying to get at the ibuprofen again. This is why you need an aid. What are your supplies doing now? Were you quilting again? What is this? Mom, you know what the doctor said. It worsens the inflammation. What are you doing? No wonder you're in pain.
I hadn't even started to quilt when the damn pain hit me. Try to do something that brings me happiness, and you tell me it's bad for me.
That's because it's true, Mom. Ever since the diagnosis, every time you have sat down to quilt, you had to stop, not 10 minutes later. You need to accept that you can't do some of the things you used to do. I'm happy to see that you're at least drinking water instead of alcohol, like the doctor said. Now just rest, okay? You want me to make you some tea?
How are you doing, honey? Why don't you sit down and rest your legs?
I'm all right.
So hard on my hands.
Honey. I'm all right. I do have another appointment at the adoption agency on Monday.
Oh, any news?
Well, now that the home study is behind us, we've finally been able to look at some photo lists. So June, at the agency, she's going to find out some more information on a couple of kids that we saw. But we won't know more until Monday.
I know you're anxious about the process, Wendy, but it'll be worth the wait. You'll see.
Well, I hope so. It feels like, like the end is in sight.
The beginning is in sight.
How uncharacteristically optimistic of me, Mom. But you know what? It is a much better way to put it. And seeing as you are more sanguine than usual, I met someone that I think you'll like. Yeah, she's a home health aide.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Wendy.
Well, that was nice while it lasted.
Look, in the last 2 months, you have set me up with 4 different aides, and none of them had the least idea of what constitutes a cordial bedside manner.
Mom, you know that is not true. You haven't even tried to be friendly with one of them. No, you've been demanding, curt, and frankly downright rude. A person only has so much patience. Okay, I should know. Mom, come on. Sarah is nice, and she quilts too. Yeah, she would like to talk, maybe exchange some patterns. I think the two of you would really hit it off, okay? So I've invited her to come over here tomorrow night. She's already in the area visiting another client, but she is going to stop by on her way home. Mom, please, just give her a chance. Please, for me, please. Thank you. You won't regret it, I promise. Now I gotta go, because Guy's in charge of cooking dinner, so you know that's either bone dry or a health code violation. I love you.
I love you too, dear. All the lovers of the
Pleased to meet you, Miss Walpole. I just need for you to take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wendy has told me so much about you. All good things, of course. Blood pressure is high. I just need for you to feel all right, Miss Walpole. Okay? Just keep breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And repeat.
Well, it's nice to put a name to the other end of the stethoscope, Miss Barnes.
Pardon me for interrupting, but everybody calls me Sarah. Barnes is just my husband's name.
Wendy tells me that you're fond of quilting.
Yes, I've loved it ever since my mother taught me as a girl. You're back to normal.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes.
Well, health is my business.
How long have you been an aide?
Oh, about 20 years now. I started in Boston, and then I moved here to Cape Cod, and I've been working at it for about 10 years now, a decade in December, actually.
Yeah, I met Sarah at the hospital the other day. Remember when I was there for the appointment? And we got to talking when we were seated next to each other. She told me about her work as a doula as well as an aide.
Well, excuse my ignorance, but what exactly is a doula?
Well, you're not the first one to ask. We care for the emotional, physical, and spiritual wellness of pregnant people before, during, and often after birth. We also advocate for them and help with postpartum needs. Some doulas, like myself, also support those who experience pregnancy complications. It's immensely rewarding for me.
Well, I'm sure it is. And how much do your rewarding works cost?
Nothing. I volunteer my services. I've been fortunate enough in my life to have most of my expenses taken care of. And I make a decent living as an aide, which covers the rest. I also know how scary pregnancy can be. Even with your family or your partner by your side. So I feel a deep responsibility to help pregnant people now.
Well, I'm sure that you're the savior for all of them, and the world certainly needs more saviors.
Mom, don't be rude.
Don't misunderstand me. I fully recognize that being a doula isn't for everyone.
Well, of course not. If it were, we wouldn't need any more saviors.
Well, I have my reservations when first considering it. You have to be trained and prepare yourself. One moment you're demonstrating breathing exercises, and the next your client is doubled over, crying out at all the fear, anguish, and grief inside. I wept with my clients when they've had a scare or learned they were infertile. But knowing they have an advocate is a great solace.
Your clients are lucky to be in your care.
Well, I'm real experienced in the job that I do, and I try to make sure that those I help see me as a friend, not just an aide. I care for one gentleman whose wife passed several months ago, and is now showing signs of dementia. He sometimes calls me his wife's name. But if that's what he needs and part of his grieving process, why would I correct him? Whatever makes folks most at ease is what I strive for. I know quilting is a great comfort for you, Miss Walpole.
Yes, it's been a passion of mine for many years, since Wendy was a little girl. It helps me take my mind off my worries. But it's hard for me now. A piece of me goes into every pattern I make.
Well, I'd be honored to see one of them if I may.
Well, as Wendy knows, I give most of my patchworks away to friends and relatives, but Wendy has a few she could show you.
Yeah, I have a ton of mom's work at home. I could bring some by tomorrow. You know, whenever I whip up after work. That is, if you're available.
I can come over around 6:30 if that's all right.
That is perfect.
Wonderful. Feeling much better, Miss Wolfo?
Yes.
Whoa. I'm relieved, but please say so if you aren't. It's been a pleasure to finally meet you.
Delighted. Wendy, would you get my medication, please?
Why did you look at her like that? Huh? I mean, didn't I say she was nice? And she's, oh, another flare-up.
Please get my medication.
Okay. Mom, you promised. You promised. Hand it over. Come on.
Oh! Wendy, I need it. You don't know what you don't know. I feel so much pain. It's killing me, but not fast enough. Look, I can't do any of the things I love to do. I can't cook anymore. I can't garden anymore. I can't write letters to friends, and I can't quilt anymore. So you are just going to have to tolerate my drinking for a little bit longer until I'm too infirm to do that too.
Mom, I know that you are in pain, but I'm not going to let you start drinking again. You know what the doctor said, drinking as much as you do on those NSAIDs, it has severe side effects.
Wendy? Wendy, where'd you go now? Wendy?
Here's some more water. You okay?
I help me bed, dear, please.
Dinner was delicious, Wendy.
Thank you. Oh, Mom. Are you okay?
I'm sorry Guy couldn't join us for dessert.
Oh, yeah. Well, his job at the warehouse keeps him busy. Makes for early nights.
I can imagine. And you mentioned you're a paralegal? Is that like, what's her name? Erin Brockowitz? Right?
No, she's a legal consultant. My work is far less sensational, but no less important. Now, behind most successful lawyers are overworked paralegals.
Ah, you're the brains of the operation.
Oh, Wendy is the brains of any operation. She graduated in the top 25% of her class at NYU. Why she didn't get her law degree is beyond me.
My mother, as usual, exaggerates my abilities. I didn't go to law school because although I may be book smart, I am terrified of public speaking. No, I could never go before a judge or a jury or an arbitrator. No, I prefer to be behind the scenes. Researching, organizing, reviewing case law, setting the stage, if you will.
Well, I hope you don't mind if I ask you a direct question.
Of course not. No, my time in New York taught me to speak direct, early, and often if you wish to say anything at all. And after a few years here on the Cape, it's refreshing to meet someone that gets straight to the point.
Well, what I need to ask is, how does a bright young paralegal come to meet, date, and marry a gruff, down-to-earth workman like Guy?
Well, no, I can answer that one. Wendy has always had great professional sense, but she's never had good sense about men. Until she met Guy. He He's the first man Wendy has dated that I saw real promise in. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of character.
Yeah, usually much to my consternation. But in Guy's case, it's my happiness. See, Guy and I met as improbably as you can imagine. At the time, he had no idea what the term was, but he is an admirer of abstract expressionist art, as am I. We met at the Mets.
Well, color me surprised. From his demeanor at dinner, I would have never pegged Guy as an art aficionado. He seemed more interested in the mashed potatoes than Mark Rothko. As a matter of fact, I really liked your recipe. That was the best shepherd's pie I ever had.
Well, I am not the one to ask. That's one of Mom's recipes.
My, your mom is certainly a woman of many talents. I hope this evening we'll get to know each other even better.
Yes, Mom is so excited to talk to you.
Well, maybe now isn't the best time.
No, don't be silly. No, just before you arrive this evening, you couldn't stop talking about how excited she was to speak to you. Isn't that right, Mom?
Oh, Wendy, would you be a dear and make some tea? My stomach is bothering me again. So, Sarah, Wendy tells me you live in Falmouth.
Yes, as I said the other day, my husband and I moved here around 10 years ago. We're Washashore, originally from Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Oh, what a coincidence. Wendy's cousin was raised in Portsmouth.
It's a small world. It's a beautiful city. Where are you from?
Oh, South Shore. Marshfield, to be specific. We moved from one swampland to another.
I assumed you were a local. How long have you lived here?
40 years. It doesn't sound right saying that out loud. We moved here when Wendy was just 8. You know, when you're young, the months and years just sort of slip away unnoticed, and now the decades fly by.
Ain't that the truth?
So what's kept you here?
Well, for one, I love the ocean. People don't seem to understand when I tell them my favorite time to go to the beach is in the wind. It drowns me.
Well, I can't say I can relate. I've never liked the beach much. I don't like how the sand gets in your shoes and you come out of the water and you're covered with salt. No, I'll take the pool at the Y any day, but I don't get there as much anymore.
Well, if you're so repelled by the beach, what brought you here in the first place?
Well, now that's a long story and not one I'm going to tell to someone I hardly know. But I am divorced.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I've always said it's the second best way to break out of an unhappy relationship. The first being sudden death, naturally. But I don't. No, I didn't have any other choice. And besides, I got one good thing out of the marriage.
Wendy.
A diamond.
Oh!
What are you girls giggling at?
Oh, we were just out telling her about you, Wendy.
Oh, well, I better get going before she pulls out the photo book. Didn't I say you two would hit it off?
Good night, Wendy dear.
I love you. Bye, Sarah.
Good night, dear. Safe home. Your little girl has turned into a lovely woman.
Well, she has her moments, but then so do I.
Well, I've enjoyed yours company and hers this evening. And it was lovely to finally meet Guy. What a sweet couple, those two.
Oh, yes, she and Guy have a very loving relationship. Though she can be a little scooch. I'm glad that they decided to stay here on the Cape instead of moving away. And Wendy has had some tantalizing offers.
I can imagine.
But what about you? The beach can't be the only reason you decided to move all the way down here to the Cape.
No. I used to have to commute for over an hour to get to work in Boston. It got to be too much for me. My husband and I had vacationed here on the Cape for years before moving.
Well, my husband and I were fond enough of the Cape to take out a mortgage on this little cottage once we were credit worthy. But it wasn't until I moved here with Wendy for good that I started to call it home.
I felt the same way. My husband and I had discussed moving for quite a while, and then finally, we couldn't stay in our old house any longer. There was too many ghosts.
Well, I think you'll find that there are quite a few haunted houses here as well. In fact, I suspect every house on this sandbar has at least one ghost in it.
No, I meant it was haunted by memories I'd sooner put away. I imagine your first house must have had memories of its own.
Oh, you don't know the half of it. If walls could talk, ours would have screamed. My husband and I did not have the most harmonious household.
What do you mean by that?
Nothing. I just don't regret leaving, that's all. Sarah, would you open that little door in the end table and hand me that book? Yes, it cheers me. Wendy says I shouldn't drink at all, but I see when I have a drink how much the swelling subsides and the pain decreases.
The swelling from the arthritis, you mean?
Oh yes, it can be excruciating. The medication helps, but it doesn't eliminate the pain. I have a drink every now and then for respite. But I have to hide it from Wendy now. Would you like some? It's brandy.
No, I don't drink.
Oh.
Told your doctor about it?
About what?
That you use alcohol to deal with the pain?
That man is right out of medical school. He wouldn't know tennis elbow from athlete's foot.
Have you thought about getting a second opinion?
I have seen 3 different doctors, and they have each given me 3 separate ways to treat this godforsaken affliction. I have listened to their advice, but I am going with what works.
Well, I'd strongly suggest you tapering off the alcohol, Miss Wellfolk. My sister has arthritis, but not as severe as yours, and she used to drink often too. She developed swelling and high blood pressure. Eventually, she was hospitalized because her doctor and my niece feared she would have a heart attack. That snapped her out of it. She sticks to her chamomile and chai now. I know what it's like to be overwhelmed with pain and use alcohol as a crutch.
It is not a crutch, and I do not drink excessively, and you do not know what it's like to live with this pain. At its worst, it's like fire up and down my arms and hands, and at its best, it's like my fingers are tied into knots that I can't undo. It paralyzes me. Do you know what that's like?
No, I don't know what it feels like to be paralyzed, not physically at least, and I'm sorry to offend you. I just meant I'd be happy to help you find other ways to cope with this ailment. You mentioned you regret not leaving your husband sooner. Why didn't you?
Well, now that's none of your business.
You're right. But your comment reminded me of my friend from high school. Her name is Naomi. When I knew her, she was bookish and shy. After we graduated, she married the star baseball player and had 2 kids.
So far, I'm not seeing any similarities.
Well, that's just how it started. Relationships never end how they began. What was your husband like?
Well, he could be quite a chameleon, that one. At work, he was loyal. At parties, he was charming. At home, he used to drink a lot.
So did my friend's husband. And Then they sat around and life got stale, of course.
Oh, you're getting warmer.
Then he cheated.
You're getting colder.
She told me he felt trapped in the marriage. So he added injury to insult. She endured it for a while and then suddenly started to fear for the safety of herself and her kids. One night she confronts him. They fight, and he narrowly misses her with an empty glass bottle. Fortunately, he wasn't much of a pitcher.
What became of her?
She packed up her things, the kids, and ran.
The main reason I didn't just up and leave was Wendy. I thought I'd rob her of a stable home life.
My friend felt the same way. She came within inches of becoming a headline, and yet she regretted that she couldn't give the kids a normal home life, while theirs had been falling apart at the seams by then.
I don't regret leaving my husband. I hung on as long as I could till Wendy was in elementary school, old enough to walk, talk, and ask about bruises. Once I could care for her more easily, I told my husband I wanted a divorce. He didn't want to leave, so I did.
Well, you're lucky to have escaped when you did.
Well, it was either that or watch himself drink himself to death. Oh, if it had just been the drinking, I might have hung on and tried to fix things, but after he hit me that first time, my love for him just dried up.
Of course, that's only natural.
That wasn't all. I was filled with righteous rage. And then paranoia struck. What if I can't take care of Wendy? What if he takes most of all what we have? We had this house, this cottage here, so we decided that Wendy and I would move here and he would stay in Marshfield. He never much liked the Cape anyway.
My husband never hurt me like yours did. But we are effectively separated, though we live together on our financial needs. The desire has gone out of our marriage. Couldn't even make love to him anymore.
Well, marriage made us prisoners, but we managed to escape. Do you and your husband have any children?
No, we tried, but we couldn't. But if we could have, I would have hoped they had Wendy's fiery attitude.
You know the half of that. Wendy was a bit of a surprise. My husband and I were in our early 20s, just out of college when I found out I was pregnant. Oh, we couldn't afford a car, much less a house and a kid.
My husband and I spent the first few years living off his VA benefits. 10 tuna and a basket full of hope. How do you make it work?
Well, we lived with my parents until we could get our legs under us. And, you know, as much trouble as she causes me, Wendy she's just what we needed at that time in our lives. And I know that Wendy and Guy's baby are going to be just what they need too. I feel it in my heart.
Well, I was sorry to hear that she and Guy couldn't conceive on their own. Oh, when they shared, you know, I understood how much they really wanted it. But, in my opinion, I am grateful that they're deciding to adopt. But if they could benefit for a doula, I'd be only too happy to.
I thought doulas only worked with pregnant people.
Many only serve pregnant people, but I support anyone in the family-making process, including those who choose to adopt. So I can help Wendy if she desires my services. But in the meantime, how can I help you?
Well, there is one thing I had to stop once this arthritis got too bad. surprise for Wendy.
Oh, Miss Wellful, it's beautiful, so colorful. And I know the baby will love it.
Well, not until it's finished, and I can't finish it, not by myself anyway. You're the only quilter I know besides Wendy. I know that we've only met each other recently, and I would totally understand if you don't think that you could.
Say no more. I'll have it finished in no time.
I don't know how to thank you.
Yes, I know. It's my privilege. I know what it's like to love someone before they're here, and Wendy and I really want a child to go through this process.
Oh, you don't know. When Wendy wants something, she'll stop at nothing to get it. She's always been very headstrong, a lot like me. I guess that's why we butt heads so often.
Oh, I would have never guessed. Wendy said that she and Guy tried to conceive for how many years?
Oh, I think 3 years altogether.
How did she take the news at first?
Well, she wouldn't believe it. The doctors, after a year, thought that there was no way she was going to conceive on her own. But Wendy was determined. She visited research centers. They looked into IVF, but it was beyond them. It's the worst I'd ever seen Wendy. It frustrated and saddened her to no end.
I understand completely. I wasn't fully present when they gave me the news.
How did you know?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, no, we've talked about so many things tonight. I thought that we were like friends and...
Not that.
Oh,
I'm sorry, it's a sensitive subject. I can't talk about that now. Maybe some other time. Why did they decide to adopt? I'm sure they must have known how troubling that would have been.
oh, well, Wendy can tell you more about that than I can. But between the training and the home visits and all the rest of it, they nearly gave up. But I know that Wendy and Guy are going to have the child they've always wanted soon enough.
And a finished quilt.
Sarah, would you go into my bathroom and get my medication, please?
Of course, Miss Wellfold.
Oh, Sarah, call me Rose.
Rose, you're being too hard on yourself. I can tell that your garden was once surviving. Sure, your lilies and your daisies have been chewed up, and your gladiolas don't look so glad anymore.
And what's the button?
There's no button, really. Your garden's current condition can't be helped, but then you haven't been able to take care of it. And you know, a garden is only as good as its garden. But from what I could see, your garden was once lovely.
Well, I wish you could have seen it in its prime. Oh, Wendy tries, but she has not got a green thumb. It just saddens me to see my petunias wilting among the leaves. I'm a lonely little petunia
In an onion patch, an onion patch, an onion patch. I'm a lonely little petunia in an onion patch, and all I do is cry all day. Boo, 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 boo.
There's a song that takes my breath
Away! I'm a lonely little petunia in an onion patch, and all I do is cry all day. Maybe it's a sign of renewed life.
How poetic.
Well, I do write poems in my spare time.
Oh, may I hear one?
Oh, I don't have any with me. They're very personal. And truthfully, I've never shared any of them with anyone. but I've been more open with you than any one of my clients. I don't know what that is.
I'm right there with you. When I met you, I thought you'd be like the other age Wendy set me up with, but I was wrong.
Oh, don't let Wendy hear you say that. She'll never let you live it down.
Well, I would never admit it unless it was true. I can talk to you. I have told you things about my life that only Wendy knows, and some even she doesn't know.
Maybe it's all those shared experiences that brought us together. Or kismet,
Well, whatever it is, I'm grateful.
as I am. Rose, there's something I need to tell you. I haven't been.
Who is it?
Mom, it's me.
We'll finish this conversation once she leaves. Come in, Wendy!
Hi, Mom. Oh, hi, Sarah. I saw your car in the driveway. I didn't know you'd be here.
Hi, dear. Your mom called and asked me to come over for a slice of coffee cake.
Looks like you both managed to have more than one.
Can you stop at one?
No, but I never said that I could. Listen, I'm glad you're here because I have some really good news. So Guy and I had another appointment at the adoption agency today, and I had such a positive feeling from the moment we walked through the doors, and for good reason, because we came to learn that, well, we are going to...
You mean?
Yes!
Oh,
Yes,
Wendy,
I know.
that's wonderful news.
Oh, yeah, we meet her at the end of the week.
You and Guy must be so excited.
We're like over the moon.
Oh.
Mom? Why are you so quiet? Is something wrong?
Oh, no, dear, there's nothing wrong. I am simply at a loss for words.
Well, I guess that makes two wonders in one day.
Wonder is the word, Wendy. How I've waited for this. It's really happening.
Yeah, Mom, it's really happening.
What's her name?
Iris.
Iris.
It's a beautiful name. How old is she?
She's 3. Yeah, her mom was being abused. And so she had to give her up for adoption to keep her out of danger. That was one of the files. That was one of the details in her file that stood out to Guy and me.
Well, she'll be safe with you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, she'll never have to worry, about why Dad and Mr. Dame's suicidal, or guess how many drinks he's had, or why Mom's breath smells like his. Mom, I didn't come here just to tell you about Iris. Sarah told me about your drinking, and I'm glad that she did. I'm glad because it's forced us to face something that we've been turning away from for far too many years, okay? Sarah, Mom's drinking is nothing new. She's been hitting the bottle ever since...
I know, dear.
Well, after the divorce, I had made up so many excuses in my own mind, maybe she was just having a bad day. Or maybe the electricity bill went up. Or maybe the Red Sox lost the World Series. But every time she would kiss me with liquor on her lips, all I would think about was him. And how he would come into my room to say goodnight, and all I could think about was if that was the same man that I heard arguing in the other room 10 minutes ago. And then he would kiss me on the cheek, and I knew it was him. And I grew up watching my mom holding on to one of his worst qualities.
Don't need to go through this now, Wendy.
I do.
This is a day of joy for Iris.
Yes, I do, though. That's why.
You
It's time.
don't need to protect her from the past.
This is time that this came out, okay? This pain has had me doubting if I can even have a family of my own. I was deeply pessimistic about marriage and children until I met Guy. And I'm not painting any red roses, okay, about our relationship. God knows it was not all roses.
Relationships never are. I've told you that, Wendy. Relationships are only perfect after they're over. Our mistakes haunt us. Hindsight is cruel like that.
Well, I guess we've got a lot farther to go then. But Guy has helped me see that I can give and receive love. And that's what we have. I know I can't shield Iris from the world, just like you couldn't shield me, though you tried. But we can show her the family that she deserves. And I don't think that we can...
She doesn't deserve a drunk for a grandmother.
I know it's a disease, Mom, just like I know that there's treatments, even if there isn't a cure, and I know what God put you through.
No, you don't have a clue what he put me through. You had to listen to it from your bedroom, but you don't want to know what went on the other side of that wall. And it didn't end there because I have endured the fallout from what he did all these years. I couldn't protect you from everything, but I kept the worst from you until we could leave for good.
That's just it. Mom, mine and Guy's relationship isn't the same one that you had with Dad, okay? Okay, read. Iris deserves a family that will put love first. Okay, so you need to choose. Which will it be?
I should leave.
No, Sarah, no. I should go. Clearly, Mom has a lot to think about.
Oh.
I don't know, maybe you can help her because evidently I can't. Mom, whichever we decide, between the three of us, we'll be there with all of the love and support that you need. I'm sorry, Mom.
I'm sorry, Rose. I've betrayed your trust, I know. But I never thought this would happen. Though honestly, I don't regret saying anything. What I haven't told you, Rose, is that I'm an alcoholic. It's taken me so many long years to accept that fact and heal. Once I did, I was able to find love and hope locked away in myself and in others. Recovery has shown me there's life in the surface. So, I put aside all I'd lost and looked at all I could create. Your daughter and son-in-law are creating love out of pain. That is a wonder. And I know no wonder lies at the bottom of a bottle. Please, Rose, I will work to rebuild trust on your broken. Let me start now. Here is how to get in touch with people who have helped me. If you won't speak to me, at least speak to them. You don't need to struggle alone, Rose. Please remember that. not your fault. Heart failure is a co-occurring condition with arthritis.
I know. The doctor warned us of that, but Mom never complained about a heart problem. No. All of this just doesn't make any sense.
I know it's not much comfort, but trust me, it's more common than you would think. One of my clients has RA also, and was just hospitalized because of an arrhythmia.
But why now? I mean, it's just too awful to be a coincidence.
It's never a good time for anyone to die, Wendy. I learned what that means many years ago, though it feels as if it just happened yesterday.
It? What happened?
I suffered a miscarriage.
Sarah, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. You know, I was so relieved when I heard we were going to be adopted. No one needs to feel that kind of pain from losing a child.
How did you survive the grief?
In time, I thought I could. After my miscarriage, I was so depressed, I nearly drank myself to death. My marriage was never the same. And I would relive the pain anytime we had sex. It's partly why I became a doula.
You know, you told me that you knew how frightening the birthing process was, but I didn't. I mean, how do you handle being around newborns all day? How do you handle that? I mean, doesn't it just tear you apart?
It did at first, yes. I would weep most days when I got home from work. But then I transformed my grief and self-destruction into love and hope through my work. I had started a quilt for my, but then when my dream died, I couldn't look at any of the baby things that days before had made me so happy. So I threw the quilt in a chest full of mothballs and memories. I thought I'd never have any use for it. And then after I talked with your mom, I realized it could take on a new life.
What do you mean?
Your mom had asked me to finish a quilt she had started for the baby. The stitch work and patterns were hers.
Why are you just telling me this now?
She asked me not to tell you until after the baby arrived.
I guess now is the time then. So, where is it? I mean, why haven't you given it to me if it's been finished?
I hadn't finished it yet. I wanted to weave in the love your mom had for your future child, but I didn't know how. So I went to the beach. That's where I go when I need to reconnect. While I stood there watching the waves fold over each other, I recall my discarded quilt. I made up my mind I would merge your mom's patterns with my own.
But I mean, how would you have explained where the second pattern came from? I mean, I know my mom had bad eyesight, but she could spot stitch marks.
Well, I was going to tell her I had combined one of my patterns with her. No more, no less. I thought it would be too painful for her to know about my own suffering. I realized what a mistake that was. She trusted me with her pain.
No, you were just trying to do what was right for her health. I mean, we both were.
But I broke her trust. Sometimes what's right for our health clashes with what's right for our heart. Your mom needed to heal her wounds.
Yeah, I know. That's what killed her, a broken heart.
No,
Yeah.
no, Wendy. Whenever your mom and I spoke, her eyes would light up. She loved Iris even before she met her.
Your mom had such such an eye for creation, even if drinking stood in the way. Her medium was quilting, you know, just as painting was Lee Krasner's. I always thought that Mom would have gotten along great with Lee Krasner and her abstract expressionist coterie.
Why?
Because, you know, they're both about putting emotion on canvas. And Mom put her whole heart into her quilts. I just wish I had found a more artful way to express my feelings yesterday.
You did. You helped your mom realize that love could help healing, but it couldn't take its place.
I don't understand.
I drank because I had a miscarriage. I thought it would fill the void the miscarriage left. But you can't heal that trauma from the outside. You could have broken leg. That trauma goes to the core. It can only be healed from within.
That's why I wanted her to get help, you know? So she could recover from her illness and get a new lease on life.
Not everyone recovers from the healing process, Wendy.
Yeah, but she wouldn't even try.
Don't be too sure of that.
What? It's just one of Mom's nip bottles she didn't drink.
Not just one of them, the one she didn't drink, Wendy. She opened this, which meant
Wait. That she was going to, but she didn't?
your mom wanted to heal herself. I saw it in her eyes yesterday. Oh, Wendy. She didn't know how. I was going to show this to her yesterday. It's for Iris. It's for you.
Oh my God, Sarah. It's beautiful. Thank you.
I can never replace the love your mom planted, but I hope I can help that love grow.
You were already like a second mother to me, Sarah, but I don't know how I'm supposed to go on now that she's gone.
She's not gone. She's here with you.
Oh, I know. I know that she's always in my heart, but I need her to be here.
She
You
is.
know, what if something happens? You know, what if Guy and I split up? How am I supposed to provide for Iris? I can't do this alone!
You're not alone, Wendy. I'm here, and so is your mother. I promised her I would finish what she started. She's in here.